Hey guys, this is Ryan from Ire Uprise, and you're listening to Music City Metal.
Hey there, this is Cameron from Ire Uprise, and you are listening to Music City Metal.
This is Quentin from Ire Uprise, and you're listening to Music City Metal.
You are about to enter the Electric Fishbowl with DJ Fish. We are metal, we are family.
What's up, Fish? Back in the Electric Fishbowl, and this is the last show I'm doing at this location. In the studio with me, Ireee and Uprise. What's up, guys?
Howdy doody, partner.
Yeah, so we have Quentin. Say hello.
Hello.
And Cameron.
Howdy.
And Ryan.
Hola.
Ben is home playing video games. What's he doing?
What's
Ben doing?
What has Ben doing? Yeah, Ben's working.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
working the bar.
Yeah, I was just teasing about that.
You suck, Ben.
Yeah, Ben's the drummer. So go ahead, starting with you, Quentin. You know, I already introduced you. Say what you do with the band, and we'll go right around counterclockwise here.
Well, I play bass. I also do backing vocals and somewhat like SFX for album stuff.
Yeah.
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 And Cameron.
Yeah, you do. Yes, I do lead guitar, lead vocals, and orchestration, along with Quentin. He kind of helps me out with that.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Ryan.
Yep, I'm Ryan, and I play rhythm guitar.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
so stoked. You guys were real flexible with me. We wanted to do this about a week ago, but nonetheless, here we are.
Yeah, it's not a problem,
Yeah,
man. We're
and the
happy to
last
be here.
show done in this room, we've had a lot of great bands come through here, and we are moving. We're going to have a new fishbowl a little bit further out, but thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks
So-
for having us. We're stoked.
It's
So,
an
yeah,
honor.
tell me, whoever wants to start, tell me about the history, how long you guys been together, how you guys met, who wants to tell the cool story?
Oh, man.
Ryan would probably be the best to
Ryan.
start off.
Yeah.
So the whole band started about
Spring of 2014.
Yeah, about that far ago, and and most of the band was founded purely from Craigslist. I would attribute Craigslist to 3/4 of the band being found.
Yeah.
Just some random ads and just being like, hey, let's put together a good old metal band and see who all responds. And this guy here, Cameron, was the first one to respond, and we just hit it off because we both love band like melodic death metal and different shreddy guitar stuff and everything.
So is that how you put it out there? I want to start a melodic death metal band, or were you specific about the genre?
That's kind of funny. So originally the band was going to be like a thrash kind of thing, like a revival kind of thing, because I'm a big thrash guy. Like I grew up with like the big four, the second wave of thrash metal bands like Testament and Death Angel and all of them, and even the new guys like Evil, and I love that kind of music. And I was like, well, what if we do that now, but like try and incorporate new genres and feels and ideas into it? Because that seemed to be the new thing at the time, like with, guys like Vector, Revocation and stuff, where they're like, hey, let's take thrash and throw in a different genre to kind of give it a new taste and stuff. So I was like, let's do that, but with like Bodum and stuff
Who was
like
the first
that.
to respond then?
That was me. Yeah. Because Ryan was living in Murfreesboro at the time, and I was living in Franklin. Because that was my senior year of high school. I saw his ad, and I was like, man, it's been, I was kind of in and out of a bunch of different bands before that, but I was looking for something, more stable than a lot of the flaky dudes I was playing with before. And I was moving to Murfreesboro to go to school that spring anyway. So I was just like, let me try to find someone in Murfreesboro that wants to do something. And I found you.
So the funny part of the members that we all met when we met, I knew Quentin because we both were in class together for audio engineering stuff, and we sat next to each other the whole semester, and it wasn't until like the last day that I actually talked to the guy.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and
literally sat next to each other.
we just sat there,
time.
and I was like, he keeps
That's
wearing
great.
these awesome, dope metal T-shirts. I have to talk to him at some point. And he wore like a Death T-shirt. I was like, okay, I love Death. I can talk about that, like and stuff.
I'm
And we just hit
very
it off.
antisocial, so I don't like to talk to people.
So that's how you eventually
Well, it's kind of weird. So Ryan hit up Cameron on Craigslist, and this is happening somewhat contingently with me talking with Ryan, but it wasn't till later when I became like more involved with actual like band stuff. So he knew that I played bass, and we hung out like when we actually started talking, but like it took a little while to kind of jump into things, I guess, just because I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do band stuff or if I'm just gonna do engineering. It was kind of weird because I came from Arkansas and I had been in bands before, but I didn't really know enough people here to like kind of jump into any like band situation, so I was kind of nervous about it.
So what year are we talking then?
So this was spring of 2014.
So it's been about 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was it MTSU you were going to?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was.
So when did you guys graduate? Because Danny Shaw Ramada, the owner of the booth, just graduated in July.
Oh, nice.
And he so I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he's him and I and Ian and gotten pretty close this year, and he took show production. So,
Gotcha.
but I didn't know.
Yeah, when did you guys graduate?
2015, I think, for me.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you've been out a while then.
Yeah.
I graduated 2016.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys are got a year or two on them then.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, my stint at MTSU was brief.
Was it
just leave.
1 or 2 weeks?
No, it was like a couple months. It wasn't a full semester though.
Yeah.
It was like a couple months.
That's all right. I went to
Man, I
computer
tried.
college, same thing. Yeah, it's not for everyone, man.
Yeah, it wasn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is. It either is or isn't.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
I sometimes wish I was part of that. You know, the experience and all that. But,
Right.
hey, man, I've done well for myself without. I did get almost to an associate's degree, but again, didn't work out.
Yeah.
I was in a bad place, and
Yeah.
but you know, it's all good. So, got some new music we're gonna play. I'm real excited to play 2 brand new tunes. How many of you guys have written so far? Because 2 songs are out
Yeah, so
that are real recent, right?
Yeah. So the 2 singles off our new record coming out in December, which is called Penumbra. That is, how many songs are on it? 10?
10
10
Oh
songs.
wow,
songs.
full
Yeah,
album,
yeah.
not an
Yeah.
EP.
Yeah, full
Excellent.
album. Yeah,
Everything is already done.
Yep.
So like we've had it finished for a little while actually, and we've kind of been sitting on it waiting to get into like PR mode. You know,
Yeah,
it's been
build up the buzz.
Yeah.
it's taken about like 2 or 3 years to kind of finish the whole thing at this point. And we're just now getting to a place where it's like, okay, let's put out music now.
We gotta go.
And you say you got some shows lined up for the coming new year, which we're going to keep a secret officially.
Well, it's just stuff that hasn't been like formally announced yet, so we don't want to be promoting stuff prematurely. But yes, we'll have a decent amount of shows coming up the first quarter of 2020, and then we'll be booking shows all year. Basically, it's just going to be a year of playing shows for us, essentially.
What's whose idea and where did the name Ire Uprise come from? Who's got that story?
So, it was like a half and half deal from what I remember. We were like, okay, I wanted to use the word ire because I saw it in.
So am I saying it wrong? I thought it was like Ireee, like the. Sometimes
Ire.
Ire.
Yeah. It's all good.
It's okay.
It's a
You
really
say it
dumb
Jamaica,
name, so
Ireee.
I don't blame you on it.
It's kind of a common thing that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a problem, man. You're fine.
Jamaica, they say Ireee.
Ireee.
I dig it.
Ire. Okay.
Um,
I stand corrected.
You're fine, man.
no worries, dude.
Okay.
So I found this name like on an article that was talking about Toys R Us and like how it was like parents are raising ire for this new Barbie doll that features this like new hairstyle or something. I was like, ire's a good word. We should use that.
Well, that's definitely completely different context to Ireee than Jamaica because that means they're laid back, happy. So,
oh, really? Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
We're pretty laid back every now and then.
Do what we can.
Sometimes.
Well, I'm ready to hear some tunes, man. Let's jump in and talk about the first song. We're playing Out of Astra.
Yes.
Did I say that right now?
Yes, sir.
You got
Is
that
that-
one?
Okay. And what is I was gonna like do all this research and try and figure out what the title meant, but I was just like, yeah, I really just asked the band. They didn't tell me.
Oh, you're fine, man. Yeah, so Ad Astra is Latin for To the Stars.
Ah.
Yeah, so I wanted the song, like when I was writing lyrics for it, to kind of represent this this kind of transition in your life where you're just trying to find truth and really pretentious stuff like that. So it's just
that's
about
all right.
kind of like seeking, who you are, what you want to do.
Yeah, and I
stuff
read the
like
lyrics
that.
at
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what was conveyed. I was going to ask next who was the lyricist. Do you guys share it, or is it pretty much is that your deal?
Yeah, so in the past we've kind of traded off like song for song, but for this album I did the bulk of it, and then everyone else would kind of just help me kind of consolidate it, because I would bring in like a whole bunch of ideas, and then I would just like sit down with Quentin, and we would just kind of fine tune it, make sure everything was as good as it could be, because there's a lot of stuff that I would miss that he would catch.
Ad Astra, though, is actually kind of a funny one. We wrote you wrote half of the song, and then you came over when I still lived in Murfreesboro, and we wrote essentially, that was one of the first songs we actually had lyrics to in the first place. Like, those have been written for a really long time.
Yeah.
And we wrote the second half of that in that one sitting, and it pretty much didn't change. Like, I'm pretty sure like it's been the same.
Yep, that one went through the fewest revisions for sure.
Nice. Let's check out Ire Uprise, Out of Astra, Music City Metal.
Out
Out of Astra, Ire Uprise, back in the studio, Music City Metal. So let's talk about some of the shows you guys have seen. And some, this is kind of like a roundabout way to ask about your influences. Starting with you, Quentin. Best show you seen this year?
Oh, this year?
It doesn't matter. It could be local, national.
Oof. That's difficult. I haven't been.
You didn't get to many?
I haven't gone to too many this year. Let me see.
Well, just in any time. The last best show that you've been to.
Tool, maybe?
Tool was pretty good. Tool was
You've seen Tool.
So I saw Tool in Birmingham when they actually announced the album release day. They played all the new songs before the album came out, and then they had one date before that in Florida, and then in Birmingham, that's when they announced the actual release date for the album. Just kind of, they have an intermission, and then out of nowhere, they just come back with like this banner that has a date on it, and you're just like I was losing my mind.
It's been 13 years maybe. I don't know. It's been a long time.
Ridiculously.
I love the album, but I don't know about a lot of people. Some people are being critical of it.
It's
I like
pretty
the experimentation.
It's pretty contentious when you have like a fan base that's waited so long for something. It's like they expect something, but it's almost like they don't even know what they're expecting from the band.
Good point.
Like, I personally really enjoyed it, but when I listened to it, I knew it was going to be an album that like not a whole lot of people would like deviate towards unless they were like kind of a hardcore fan base, and even then, like the hardcore fan base is kind of divided in a way. Mm-hmm. But besides that, like, I mean, favorite shows, like, whenever Devin Townsend comes to town, that's
cool.
We're big fans.
He's the man. He's the man.
See, this question's hard for the first person. They're already thinking about it.
Yeah, you kind of got the short straw, man.
But you, this is a good answer too. I've never seen them actually.
Yeah.
It's hard because I'm a hardcore fan, but I plan on it.
It's very special. I had never seen him before either, and I've been a fan for a super, super long time. Obviously, I'm not that old relatively, but like I've been into them for a while, and seeing them for the first time, like their stage performances, seriously probably the best stage performance that I've seen out of any band that I've seen live.
Yeah. Have you seen any of Maynard's other projects, Pussifer?
Perfect Circle, yeah.
Perfect Circle?
I haven't got to see them live, but...
Made it either. I always had a gig or something happen. It just, once that happens, it's screwed. Yeah.
You end up like, it's always like, oh, I work, or I've got school, or I just don't have money.
Yeah, that's the other thing. What about you?
Show this year. I also went to, me and him were in Birmingham like the same weekend. But I was there for this band called Zeal and Ardor. I don't know if you've heard of them. No. They're awesome, man. They're wicked. They are, it's this really strange blend of black metal and like Civil War slave music, like chain gang music. Well, it's the most like, it's so strange, but it's like so evil. Like it's amazing. It's like, as far as like just atmospheres at a show, that was
Were they here?
Remarkable.
They play in Nashville here?
That was Birmingham.
Oh, Birmingham as well.
Yeah, that was in Birmingham as well.
Yeah.
I wish they would come to Nashville because I love that band. They're phenomenal.
By you.
So I have two shows on my mind. Meshuggah, when they came through here with Black Dahlia, that was a great show. And I went to Exit 111, which was amazing.
Oh, see, I'm jealous. I missed that too because I had...
Yeah, it was a great time, man.
I heard it was fantastic. A little chilly, but...
Yeah, by Def Leppard, everybody was like huddling together because we were all so freezing cold. But it was a great time. Like, if I had to pick a specific band who stole the show, Gojira. Like, hands down, they killed. Like, they had the biggest crowd, and I talk about this all the time. I was in the front row, and the pits were so big that anyone in the front row, like, were so huddled together, we were off the ground. Like, we were like so like crunched together. Like, you watch Game of Thrones by chance?
Oh, wait, yes, I haven't finished it, to be honest with you.
Okay,
but,
then I won't make the
okay,
reference.
yeah,
then.
like I've gotten into season 6. That's as far as I got, and I got distracted with a couple other shows, you know. But I'll tell you a little story about Meshuggah. When I first moved to Nashville, 98. And this might have been 99, 2000. I was the caretaker of Pastor Bob's house, and we would have bands come through all the time. And he had a huge 7-bedroom house. I mean, you never knew he was going to knock on the door. I mean, everyone from Is Obscure to Donna Summer popped over back when she was still alive. Lulu Roman from Hee Haw, and then, you know, one day Rob Sweet from Stryper showed up, and it was really cool. It was quite an experience. I was at a weird point in my life, kind of broken, and but he would get stuff in the mail all the time. You know, bands, like at least 5 to 7 cassette demos a week or CDs a week. Mm-hmm. And Meshuggah sent Pastor Bob the demo, and him and I listened to it together. And I'll tell you, he has a way. He's always right when it comes to music. I don't know. I just, you know, and you know, he's not just Christian metal. He loves a lot of, you know, bands, period. And he just, whether they're good or not to him, and whether or not, and he's just like, these guys are going to make it. There's no doubt about it. And it really wasn't my style at the time. I was more thrash at that time, kind of Dream Theater. I was into Tool. Mm-hmm. I was all over the place, but that wasn't my style. And I'm like, you know, he was right on. And so I got to hear one of their first demos. If you had, and this time we'll start with you, Ryan, make it easier on Quentin.
Even it out here.
If you had any opportunity to open up for a band next year, who would it be?
Devin Townsend.
Oh, wow.
In a heartbeat.
That's it.
That's my dream. You know, I've wanted to open for the guy since I heard of him, because he's just such a phenomenal musician. I mean, to be fair, we'd play, and then we'd be like, oh man, now I want to go see him. But like we'd be up in, like, you know, the back area. It'd be great.
That was an easy answer for you. What about you, Cameron?
That's tough for me. Any of the like 90s Swedish like melodic death metal bands, In Flames or Dark Tranquillity, Epic, like any of those guys, I would turn into a little girl if we got that call, man.
You got one in mind?
I mean, also Devin Townsend, but Isan.
Oh yeah, if you've ever listened.
Say that again, I missed it.
Isan.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I like your guys' answers all over the place. That's cool.
I'm a big fan
how we
of
roll.
His solo project, as well as Emperor. You know, and any chance to like open for him would be a dream.
Well, okay, so going back to the early years when you guys were young, okay, which you're still kind of, I mean, when you were very young, what band was it that said that spoke to you and like, I want to do this, I want to be a musician?
Us personally,
yeah.
For me, it was Megadeth.
Was it really?
Like, I love Dave Mustaine, I love David Ellefson, and just the way that they put together their music, and it just spoke to me, I guess, for a certain way. Like, I didn't really understand. Like, my family is very musically inclined. Like, we're mostly pianists and choir guys. And it wasn't until, like, I got into Megadeth that I was like, oh, you can actually apply that into, like, a guitar or something like that. Like, one of the first sets of riffs I played was Holy Wars and stuff, because I was
that was it? How old were you?
Oh, man. I was, like, 8,
I
think,
wow.
or so. And I was, like, I was doing my fetal attempts of doing the, and it would sound so, like, bad. But in my mind, it was like, oh, it's perfect. Like, right?
Yeah, shout out to Dave Mustaine. Just to, you know, he's a short 40-minute ride away. You know, his ranch is up for sale.
Oh, is it?
Really?
1.9 mil.
We got it.
You got it?
Yeah, we got it, man.
But just shout out to him. We all know he's battling cancer, and
yes, sir.
Yeah, man. He's beating it. He's working hard at it. And
yeah, man.
They're my favorite as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that's a tight. I mean I'm a Metallica guy as well.
Yeah.
The early stuff though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, as a matter of
First
fact,
4 records.
I got something to show you guys after we're done recording. What I got for my 50th birthday.
Oh boy.
And well, what about you?
So I grew up also with a pretty musical family. I listened and studied a lot of classical music when I was a kid.
Hence the orchestration.
Yeah. When I was like really young, that was like my first instrument was violin when I was like 5.
Yeah.
And I did piano and all that stuff too. But as far as like rock stuff goes, if you're ready for even more weird answers that make no sense for being in a metal band, was Boston.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's great.
It was one of my dad's favorite bands growing up. He would always tell me the stories of him buying that record the day it came out and just listening to it like 12 times over and over again because it was just so ahead of its time.
It was.
And even to this day, like Tom Scholz is probably my biggest like guitar influence.
Is it
like
really?
the harmonies, the melodies,
Right.
the just everything. It's like just perfect music.
We have a printout of Tom Scholz.
We do.
Actually.
He sits on the wall in our recording room.
Again, another. Well, Tracy is the one that Pastor Bob's pretty close with. You know, they just played their last show.
Yeah.
He said they're done.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's coming down to Nashville to do a podcast with Bob pretty soon.
Ooh.
I get to meet him. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited because I was.
That's
big,
awesome.
You know, I mean, of course, you know, not what they played on the radio. There was so much. I mean,
those records, specifically the first 2. The third one was really good as well, but those first 2, man, just
oh man, I've
phenomenal.
ruined that cassette
Yeah,
until my
yeah.
cassette player chewed it up. I played it so much.
Yeah,
I was into it as well.
Yeah, man, it's
Like,
perfect.
Oh yeah.
I'm more of a Metallica, like you, early Metallica, but unlike Ryan, I'm kind of more like the first 3 albums. Like, and Justice for All is good, but the first 3 albums are really where it's at for me. Them and Iron Maiden. Like, Iron Maiden is still just like when the very first time, like, this is kind of weird, and I feel like a lot of people in our generation can also speak to this, like, Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero was like a big like gateway into a lot of the heavier like classic metal, and then like from that point like started listening to heavier things. Like I listened to like Metallica, Slayer, Iron Maiden, and then all of a sudden started getting into things like Dream Theater, Brain Drill, and Job for a Cowboy.
Best band name ever. Shout out to Brain Drill.
Brain Drill.
Brain Drill.
Yeah. And just like really extreme stuff from there. But the classics always kind of go back to Iron Maiden, Metallica, you know, Slayer to a certain extent. I don't know. They're not as big for me as the other 2.
I wasn't really big on Slayer till I got a little older. I don't know why. You know, maybe it was just because of my parents were they were standoffish on the music that I liked. And they accepted it, you know, but that was one that really scared the crap out of them. You know what I mean?
That's basically all that band was designed to do, man.
I mean, I eventually became a big fan. I don't know. It just took a little bit more time. Nothing against them whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a killer embroidered Slayer hat.
I really love God Hates Us All. Like that album.
Is a really good album.
That album is really, really good. But a lot of their stuff, like I retrospectively like being of a younger generation, I can kind of like look back and I can see like what is show versus like at the time like the shock value of things, and like there's a lot of there are a lot of things like with extreme like death metal with like cover art and everything that are like very desensitizing. So I'm just kind of like, this isn't as extreme as all of this other stuff.
Well,
like young me.
Yeah, it's like the same way that like parents were freaking about Elvis in the 50s, like swinging his hips onto. Yeah, it's the same thing. It'll never stop. That's just how it rolls.
So my first exposure to Metallica, again, I was, when I was younger, before I, hit 17, 18, and I was buying my own stuff, you just couldn't go and listen to it. Either to wait for it to play on the radio, or you had to go buy it, or you were screwed. You know what I mean? So I had never heard Metallica when I was a freshman in high school. This is early 80s. And I had a guy in Metal Shop. This was and they had a band called Tyrant Sin. A couple of guys were from a district over, and this guy's name is Paul Mazurkowitz. Do you recognize the name?
Oh man, yeah.
So him and I took we took Metal Shop together, and he had a Kill 'Em All shirt on. And I'm like, I've never heard him. He's like, what man, get out, come on. And he had an IROC. He was driving to school, and he pops in the cassette and played, Four Horsemen was the first thing I heard, and I was like hooked.
Yeah.
And obviously, he the Tyrant Sin broke up. He went to Florida, and
Cannibal Corpse happened.
Yeah,
wow, that's
yeah.
crazy, man.
Yeah, so
that's
he's
awesome.
in my yearbook. Yeah,
Wow.
he was 2 years out of me. Yeah, but anyway,
That's intense.
we're gonna get into. Let's play this other tune here. You brought two with you, and you have an entire album. Talk about the album that's coming out, when it's coming, and we're playing From Nothing right after this. Talk about the album a little bit, when we can expect it to drop, and whoever.
Yeah,
jump
man.
in.
Oh, I got you. Unless anyone else wants to do the sales pitch.
It comes out December 13th.
Yes,
It's
sir.
called Penumbra. There you go.
It'll
There
be
you go,
available on all streaming
Yeah,
platforms.
we'll have it streaming everywhere. We actually also just put up all the pre-orders for physicals, so if anybody wants to get a copy secured, just head over to our Bandcamp.
Ire Uprise.
Oh, Bandcamp. Great
Bandcamp.
place to get the music out there.
Bandcamp.com/Ire Uprise.
You have the ampersand in there.
No, spelled out.
Yeah, we
It's
have to
spelled
spell
out.
We have to spell it out
Yeah,
on
no
most
characters.
of the websites.
Correct. Yeah, that's all good though, man.
That's
But yeah,
all right.
December 13th, Penumbra. It's gonna be a good time. We worked for a long time. Worked really hard on it. Super proud of it.
Well,
Big-
that's great. This is about 3 days after this show's going to air.
Yeah,
the
perfect
timing's
timing, man.
perfect, man. Well, I'm
Yes,
excited.
sir.
Let's check out this next tune here. What do we got? From Nothing. Anyone want to introduce it? Talk about it? Anything
Yeah.
cool to say?
It's actually the first single. At Austria was our second one. From Nothing is much more straightforward relatively than Ad Astra, but it's kind of made to be that way. It's more classically in your face, I guess, while still retaining a lot of symphonic elements.
All right, here it is. Music City Metal with DJ Fish, the Electric Fishbowl with Ire Uprise, From Nothing.
From
From Nothing, Ire Uprise. Great song, guys. Can't wait to hear the whole album.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, us too.
So what's the goal for next year for you guys?
Shows.
Shows.
Yeah,
And
we
how
haven't
can
quit.
someone who's doing your booking? You guys doing it yourself? Why don't we go ahead and shout out all of the ways they can get a hold of you? Social media, website. Obviously, you mentioned Bandcamp, but go for it.
You can find us primarily on Facebook if you have like contact, either for booking shows or any other general inquiries. We also have our email address that should be linked to our Facebook as well. If you have a more professional like business proposition, go ahead and shoot us an email. But we're also willing to communicate through Facebook Messenger.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited to see you guys. And hope you can, as soon as you can pass those dates on to me so I get in my calendar,
Yes, sir.
I will be there.
We know you know.
I'll go to 5 local shows before I go do a big one. Honest to God, I really like supporting the local scene here. And also make sure you hit up Evan and ET at NashvilleMarch.com. Get all your shows up there. Connect with them. And then we'll see about getting you guys at the booth here. It's February. If the date works out.
Cool, man.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? I know we were talking about a couple things during the song there. And Ryan, we just got in a Metallica discussion.
Yeah, I was just talking about how Hetfield, like Mustaine, was a big influence for me to a point where, he's notorious for his downpicking ability, that he can basically play these super technical riffs while downpicking the whole time. I do the exact same thing, and it became a problem recording this record.
There was literally a riff that he could downpick, but it was so fast.
Inhumanly
fast.
Yeah.
That we had to change the part just because it's like, okay, accuracy, we need to preserve the feel, but literally he has a problem. Like, he's addicted to down
there's
picking.
just something about the tonality of a good down pick.
Yeah.
Like you hear it like in those early Metallica records. Like there's just this like aggressive
It's more
attack to
percussive,
it. You know.
Yeah.
Do you remember that tour in '93 when it was Guns N' Roses and Faith No More and Metallica?
Yeah.
I saw that in Buffalo.
Oh, man.
And it was
that
it was
the
2
tour?
days after he burned his hand in Toronto with the pyro.
Oh, right.
And he didn't
yeah.
play guitar that time. I mean, he was standing there with his hand all wrapped
Yeah,
up.
because then they have like a tech playing guitar. or
Yeah,
something like that?
his tech jumped in. And it was actually, I mean, me personally, Metallica blew Guns N' Roses off the stage. I mean, for a lot of reasons, but Axl was drunk late.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
he's
just back in a bad time for him, but
Yeah, of course.
that was one of the best shows I've seen Metallica do. I mean, I've seen him several times, but that was, even though he didn't play, they were phenomenal then. It was a great memory. And I guess I really enjoyed this, guys, and I want to have you guys back when the whole album comes out.
Yeah, man.
Maybe next year, after you get a couple shows in your belt, come out to the new Fishbowl. And
Anytime.
we'll keep you posted. I know I talked a little bit about Battle of the Bands. Nothing's official with it yet, but I will keep you posted there. And then stick around for a minute after we're done recording here and get some spots. That sound good?
Yeah, it sounds perfect, man.
Yeah. Well, I wish you all the best next year. And hit them up on Facebook, Bandcamp. Throw them some money. You guys have merch yet?
Working on it.
Working on it. Hashtag
it is-
working on
yeah,
it.
Hashtag working on it. It is all in production. We're just waiting for it to get here.
It'll all be up before the album officially drops.
You do Instagram too?
Yes, we have Instagram.
Yeah,
as
Mary
well.
Mary
We're on
kills my
everything.
Instagram page. And we'll get tied together there. Can't wait to see the first show, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks so
man.
much for coming to the Fishbowl on a nice rainy Saturday night.
Like I said, man, just
And,
thanks for having us. We really appreciate it and everything that you're doing to help the scene and help bands get out there, man. We really appreciate it.
It's
Thank
my
you.
pleasure, man. I'm really glad to do this, and I do it for the love of young talent and exposing that there's way more to country music in this town. Way more, right?
Yes, sir.
Music City Metal. Before we wrap up this episode, I am going to fill in for Mary this week for the NashvilleMarch.com rock and roll forecast for the week of December 13th, 2019. Friday, December 13th, which is not only the release of Ire Uprise's album. If you want to get out, Head to the Crying Wolf, Sleep for the Weary, Them Fixes, and Two Dead Men, 8 o'clock, Friday the 13th. You want to go a little bit bigger, hit Marathon Music Works, Chevelle with Convoy, and the Band Royale. That is Friday the 13th, 8 o'clock. Buzz Bash for kids, Iron Tribe, Sad Wings at Little Harpeth Brewing. Definitely, you got some young Iron Maiden fans. Take them out to see Keith and Mr. McDonald and the boys do some Iron Maiden, 8 o'clock, Little Harpeth Brewing. Also tomorrow night, the show that I am going to be at, the Nightmare Before Christmas show at the Borough Bar and Grill, Conniption, I Am the Law, She Devil, and Them Fixes. So if you don't get out on Friday, make sure you come down to the Borough. On the 15th, Twin Peaks, La La, and Ohm, Night 2. That is at the Basement East. They're doing that on the 14th, so there's 2 nights of that. Twin Peaks with La La and Omi. December 14th and 15th. Nashville Drummers Jam on December 16th at Mercy Lounge. The Ivans, Daylight Sinners, Sister Annex, and Stacy Stone is also on December 16th at Exit Inn. December 17th, Sum 41 at the Cowan. Great venue. If you haven't been there, go check that out. Also, coming up on the 19th, White Reaper at the Basement East. They look interesting. Never heard of them. I'll have to check them out. Friday, December 20th, American Goon with Ivory Picture Story. Half Watt Astronaut. Oh, I saw them. They're worth going out seeing. The East Room. That is on December 20th. And then wrapping up our update, Pile at Exit Inn. That is December 21st. Make sure you go out, support your local acts. And there's a few good touring acts that are worth seeing. But get out there, buy the merch, and support your local metal here in Nashville. Thanks again to Ire Uprise for a fantastic episode. And hey, you want to make the world a better place? Commit a random act of kindness to a complete stranger. Till next time.